check 1-2-1-2. Copy here. Got you loud and clear. Green, all side.
The Performance Motorsports Network presents Burning Rubber Radio.
Burning rubber, baby.
I know what the tradition is. You don't even have to explain it. And here it is. Burning rubber, baby!
Now, from the White Lightning TV studios in Statesville, North Carolina, here is your host, Andy DeLay.
Well, it's not Andy DeLay. It's producer Wayne on Burning Rubber Radio. And wait. Is that John?
That's me, Wayne.
Oh my God, John Dix back on camera. Oh, man.
I'm here with my ugly mug, brother.
Yeah, the NASCAR chef is back on the video side of things here with us, folks. We promised you he was coming back, and we finally got it to happen here. So good stuff,
yes.
having the NASCAR chef back with us on video.
Yeah, it's good to be back, Wayne. I tell you what, burning rubber, baby.
Burning rubber, baby. All right. And with that said here, folks, we have got a stacked show for you again this week here. It's good to be back after the holidays. Felt good to take a little bit of time off because God knows the producer never gets time off. So, because I have to put up with these bunch of mugs and bugs. And, but I had a little bit of time off over the holiday season, so got to enjoy that and rest up and relax. And that is until I got the flu over Christmas. How does that happen, John?
I don't know. A lot of people getting sick though, Wayne. You know,
Yeah.
I'm hearing all my friends around here in South Alabama all getting sick, so it happens.
Well, talk about some interesting stuff indeed. Well, the flu, folks, and I'll be as honest with you as I can. I'm not the biggest fan of vaccines, and I personally don't get them. But if you get this flu that's going around, or RSV, or whatever the current thing is that's going around right now, make sure to get to urgent care, get yourself medicated, and get yourself feeling better. Because if it does to you what it did to me, it put me down and out for 2 days over Christmas, and I was not happy about it. So. But either which way, though.
About a month ago, I was sick for about a day and a half. With a little body
I remember
flu.
that, too. What did you do? Sneeze through the internet and send it to me or something?
I have. I don't know, brother.
Good Lord, John. But, again, we do have a stacked show for you guys again this week here on Burning Rubber Radio. We have got Lance Griffith coming on the show here. He's Legend Car, Allison Legacy Series driver. Done a whole bunch of stuff in just 3 short years in the world of motorsports here, John, at the age of 24, and ironically older than Zach. And seems like Zach's keeping the older company, which is good. It's giving him that experience that he needs.
Yeah, I tell you what. And, Lance is supposed to be down at Daytona this week, but we'll let him tell everybody all about it.
Yeah, there's rumor that he might be down at Daytona, but we'll hear from him in just about 15 short minutes here with the announcement that he's got for us this week here. Of course, we've got news of the week coming up for everybody again this week. A little bit of stuff, including Tim Scott sadly passing away, former ARCA champion. There's
Tim Steele.
Tim Steele,
Wayne.
rather. Excuse me,
Yeah,
Tim
that's
Steele.
okay.
And I don't know why I was thinking Tim Scott. There's another name for that. But then on top of that, there's also rumblings that the IROC series might be coming back. So not only will we have SRX, but there's a possibility that we're going to have the IROC return eventually as well. So we're going to be talking all about all of that over the course of the next hour here. Of course, it is the fastest 60 minutes in motorsports. And before we hit up our first foreign fuel of the show here this week, folks, we cannot forget our advertising partners, our sponsors of the show here, iRacing. Make sure you go over to iRacing.com to get a hold of the world's premier online motorsports simulator, iRacing.com, the place to go for that one. A good friend of ours in Speedway Children's Charities. Make sure you go over to speedwaycharities.net and get yourself set up to donate to some pretty cool charities that the folks over at Speedway Motorsports Incorporated work with as part of Speedway Children's Charities. And then there's also, last but most certainly not least, our good friends over at Drive Refine at driverefine.com. Joey Coulter, Austin Terrio, and make sure you go hit those guys up. In fact, John, we'll be talking in the news segment here in a little bit, but I think there was rumbling that we might see Austin at Daytona as well.
I believe so, Wayne. One thing I want to bring up on a different subject is everybody go on Stuart Haas's website. They have a brand new logo now. Stuart Haas has come up with a new logo. It looks pretty cool, actually.
Okay. Well, we'll have to make sure that we go and take a look at that when it comes time to visit StuartHaas.com or StuartHaasRacing.com. But with that said here, folks, we're going to step aside. We're going to take that first four and fuel of the show. And when we come back, we've got a whole bunch of news of the week for you to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver. And we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. And in our family, we're used to getting involved, and I encourage you to do the same, especially when it comes to caring for your loved ones. When I think about Alzheimer's and the impact it had on my family, I recognize that losing a race isn't such a bad day after all. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
What can we learn from a child?
That spreading joy
is more important than a trophy.
That when we help others, we heal ourselves.
That with a little love,
we can make the biggest impact.
At Speedway Children's Charities,
our mission
is simple.
Help every child we can.
Because all children deserve joy.
And hope. And love.
And if one child is still in need,
then there's still work to do.
Because their future
is our future.
And there's still so much they can teach us.
Burning Rubber Radio is social. Like the show at facebook.com/Burning Rubber Radio. Follow on Twitter at twitter.com/BRR_PMN. And on Instagram at Instagram.com/Burning Rubber Radio. Now back to more Burning Rubber.
And we are back on Burning Rubber Radio. It's producer Wayne and the NASCAR chef John Dix along with you this week here, folks. And you're probably wondering, where is Andrew DeLay? Well,
chasing bad guys.
Yep, he's out chasing bad guys. We were lucky enough to get a FaceTime call from him right before we went on the air this week here, and he was sitting in his squad car out playing police officer today for this week, folks. So, but all jokes aside, though, seriously, we proudly support law enforcement here on Burning Rubber Radio. And so, again, thank you to every law enforcement officer, every military veteran, every active military member. Thank you for everything you guys do, and thank you for your service to our country, no matter where you might be hanging around at and across the U.S. of A. But
Wayne, that's my Vietnam pin right there.
Is it now?
Yep.
Well, there you go, folks. Take a look at the NASCAR chef there wearing that swanky Vietnam pin, and good stuff all the way around there. But we got to get into some news of the week here for everybody right now. And biggest thing, John, some new news here coming out of Alpha Prime Racing this weekend. And Brad Perez will be competing part-time for Alpha Prime in the number 45 car this year in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, beginning at Texas's Circuit of the Americas. Perez, who is originally from Florida and a first-generation racer of Puerto Rican and Dominican descent. Boy, gotta love how they play that card every time a news article comes out.
Yeah, that race is in March, I believe, isn't it?
No, it's in April this year.
April? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Circuit of the Americas is typically run in April, right before summertime, because it's usually only about 2 or 3 weeks prior to the Coke 600. So
right.
Yeah, but either which way, this really just irritates the living hell out of me, and I'm being totally honest when I say this, is that, folks, do not, for God's sakes, do not keep putting this filth in race articles or articles of any kind. We don't give a shit about your race. You could be black, you could be brown, you could be Puerto Rican, you could be Dominican, you could be Indian, you could be Chinese. I really don't give two shits. You are a racer. That is all I need to know.
Right. Tell it like it is, Wayne, like you really feel.
And, well, the same thing goes back to when they tried to do all that stuff with Toni Breidinger. How they were trying to say how she was the first Arab-American race car driver. The fact is, she's not Arab-American. She was born in the United States of America. She is American.
Right. Well, it's a sign of our time, unfortunately, Wayne. And
it really is.
And so many people are getting woke, if you want to call it that. And unfortunately, our buddies at NASCAR are getting the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's getting to be that way. And,
but anyways.
Back to the ranch with the chickens and the horses here. And now that I've been able to get off my soapbox for about 5 seconds, I feel better now, because I saw that when I was reading the article this morning. And it just... From somebody who's been in this industry for 20 years now. 20 years I've been in this business, John. And the last 2 to 3 years, it has gotten to its peak of idiocracy, stupidity, and just ridiculousness all the way around when it comes to playing the race card, playing the sex card, playing the whatever. I could give a flying cahoot less what your race is, what your sex is. I could give a flying cahoot less if you're one of those 50 million genders they've come up with nowadays. and for those of you liberals that are out there listening, you can try and cancel me if you want to. It won't work. I'm sorry. Goodbye.
Well, I tell you, Wayne, I've been cooking in NASCAR since '89, so I've been around a long time.
Yep.
And I feel exactly how you feel. Back in the days, it was people were people, male, female, black, white, whatever you were.
And even then, it wasn't brought up every single week. It wasn't brought up like who was it? God, who was the one that came back in Atlanta a few years ago and made
Bill Lester?
Bill Lester, yeah. So
Bill has been on the show,
right? And even back in the day, back when media was covering Bill Lester and his run in NASCAR, nobody was like the first black driver in NASCAR. Nobody ever did that crap. Like, it annoys me.
And Bill acts like a driver.
Exactly.
He's a friend of the show, a friend of mine. He's a great guy, and Bill acts like a driver, not like a label.
Exactly. There you go. That is the perfect description right there. We need to drop the labels. If you are a racer, you are a racer. That is all I need to know about you and what division of motorsports you race in, what makes you stand out from the rest of the crowd. As far as your statistics are concerned, I don't care about anything else when it comes to motorsports. And again, folks, I'm back on my soapbox for like 2 seconds. But
well, you're right. You're right, Wayne, because I grew up with Patty Moise.
Yeah.
And I know Patty personally. That's how I got friends with Elton Sawyer.
Yep.
And when I was a kid and Patty was racing, she was a racer. She never called herself a female racer. She called herself a racer.
Exactly.
And you have to respect that.
Exactly. She was the definition of a racer's racer back in the day.
Right.
And so the fact is, again, Patty Moise, Bill Lester, Toni Breidinger, Natalie Decker, all of these names that stand out in the world of motorsports over the last 50 or 60 years. And or even Dale Earnhardt Sr. or Jeff Gordon or Tony Stewart or whatever the case might be. You're not going to see them going around and be like, oh, I'm a white race car driver. I'm this, I'm that. And I'm going to let it rest at that point, because if I don't, I'm going to probably say something I might regret.
Well, one thing I want to add, Wayne. A lot of people don't know this, but in 1963, I was at Jacksonville Motor Speedway when a gentleman won the race there, and a lot of people got to do a little research and find out who we're talking about. But you know who I'm talking about, Wayne. You know.
I feel like I should, but it's escaping me right now.
Yeah, the first black man to win a race, 1963, Jacksonville Motor Speedway. Yeah.
Well, we'll let folks do their research on that, and then they can tell us what they think. But folks listening to us on the Tan Talk Radio Network, we know you guys like your conservative talk a little bit, so we enjoy having fun with that one. You know what? I might just talk to Big Ed and be like, hey, yeah, well, never mind. I'm getting off on a tangent here. We got to get back to news of the week here before we get too far gone into things. And something we talked about in the open of the show here this week is that there's talk that the IROC series might be coming back here in 2024, John, and that being because Ray Evernham has officially mentioned he is relaunching the IROC series, and they're saying it could make a significant return to the motorsports landscape as early as 2024. IROC Holdings LLC, which is a joint venture company created by Ray Evernham and former NASCAR Cup Series team owner Rob Kaufman, was announced on Monday morning that the company's formation and acquisition of the rights to the IROC brand. So not only does Ray have his hand in SRX, he's going to have his hand in IROC. Right. Well, Ray pretty much runs XRX. Oh, yeah. Tony's they're using to use Tony's name. He doesn't have a lot to do with the day-to-day operation. I had talked to Zippy about that at Talladega a couple months ago, and as I was actually trying to see if I could get in cooking with SRX. But Zippy told me I'd have to talk to Ray because Smoke doesn't really have a lot to do with it. But it's going to be interesting if Ray owns the IROC and he's involved in SRX. Maybe they're going to kind of merge or do something. That's it's going to be interesting down the road. Maybe bring back those original style of Trans Am cars, because those were cool back in the day. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what goes on down the road. And now, granted, we all know that Pontiac doesn't exist much anymore, and as far as automobiles are concerned or manufacturing is concerned, but wouldn't it be cool to possibly see like a limited edition Pontiac Trans Am out somewhere strolling around, be like a 2024 Pontiac Trans Am, only $69,000. Well, they can make something like that looks like that and just kind of go old school with it. It'd be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to what's going on in the future with that. They could. And I'll tell you what, if I get fortunate enough to have enough money, I may just buy me one. I mean, just being honest, But moving on here over to one last bit of news of the week that we're going to touch on here before we get to our next Foreign Fuel and get ready to talk to our guest of the week here, Lance Griffith, is that Bobby Pierce over in the world of dirt gets himself a day 2 win in the Wild West Shootout out in Vado, New Mexico, or Vado, New Mexico. Not 100% sure how you pronounce that. I'm going to go either way just to be 100% sure, because you never know. But yeah, needless to say, Bobby Pierce is out railing it around in that open wheel dirt modified, and God, the pictures look like they are so much fun, John. I bet that sounds like a lot of fun. Robbie Gordon used to run out there and do all that kind of stuff. So I met Robbie years ago at Daytona, and nice guy. Wish he could have done better in NASCAR. That, and then also our good friend Kenny Wallace and Ken Schrader also running the open wheel dirt mods as well too. So and you know what's funny is, and this was something I still remember when I was talking to Kenny back at Boyd's Speedway back in 2021, which sadly Boyd's is no more. Boyd's was bought up last year, and it's being torn down after almost 75 years in operation. Wow. It's being turned into something completely different, and it broke my heart to hear that, because I was looking forward to going back to a race down there at Boyd's sometime last year, or even into this year, and then I found out that news. So not good all the way around the board. But But Kenny Wallace, back to what I was mentioning here for a second before we get ready to head up to our next break here, is that when talking with him that couple of years ago, one thing he's always talked about is that he's always had a much higher passion for dirt racing than he has the asphalt stuff, and you can tell by just the energy and the excitement every time he climbs in and out of that car when it comes to the dirt side of things. NASCAR, it gets to be, and now granted, and again, this is from seeing it from the inside looking out, whereas the fans, obviously, you guys see it from the outside looking in, is that it gets to a point where most of the drivers, it's not even treated as fun anymore. It's treated as just like going to work for 3 hours a day and making $20,000.
Right.
And it's sad that the sport we all love has gotten to where it has become that. We've got to be able to get back to where we're having fun in motorsports. Go back to the days of Dale Earnhardt, where if he gave you a rub on the right rear, it was his way of saying, "Hey, I'm here." Not like, "Come here, boy, you're pissing me off."
Yep, absolutely.
And so, I mean, we got to get back to the days of having fun in motorsports. Otherwise, it's only going to sink further and further into a different load that we don't necessarily want it to be in. But that's another time to be on the soapbox, I guess, right? For 5 seconds. Who's keeping track? I've only been on my soapbox this week for about 6 minutes.
Almost the whole show, brother.
Yeah, right, exactly. But with that said here, folks, we are going to step aside. We're going to take our next foreign fuel. And when we come back here, John, we've got our featured guest of the week, Lance Griffith, going to be joining us from the INEX Legend Car Series.
Touchdown! Oh, did you see that? Whoa, we scored? Yeah, we scored going to the playoffs. I can't believe I missed that. Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone.
What? I should take your phone away.
No. I'll call for a ride. Hey, why does my face look like that? I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what? Yep, that's mine.
Kevin, I need that back.
No.
Kevin!
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. And in our family, we're used to getting involved, and I encourage you to do the same, especially when it comes to caring for your loved ones. When I think about Alzheimer's and the impact it had on my family, I recognize that losing a race isn't such a bad day after all. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
What can we learn from a child?
That spreading joy
is more important than a trophy.
That when we help others, we heal ourselves.
That with a little love,
We can make the biggest impact.
At Speedway Children's Charities,
Our mission
is simple.
help every child we can.
because all children deserve joy.
And hope.
And love. And if one child is still in need,
Then there's still work to do.
because their future,
Is our future.
and there's still so much they can teach us.
Burning Rubber Radio is social. Like the show at facebook.com/Burning Rubber Radio. Follow on Twitter at twitter.com/BRR_PMN. And on Instagram at Instagram.com/Burning Rubber Radio. Now back to more Burning Rubber.
And we are back on Burning Rubber Radio. It's producer Wayne along with the NASCAR chef John Dix. John, I still say it is weird being able to see you on camera for the first time in over a year.
I know, Wayne. It's good to be back, brother.
Yeah, it is, buddy. But I'll tell you what, we have got to get into our featured guest spot of the week here. And This young man comes to us by way of one Zachary Murtis, and also races legend cars. He's done Allison Legacy Series. He's got a whole bunch of stuff going on for himself. In fact, got a little bit of an announcement that he's going to make this week as well here. We have got Lance Griffith on the horn. Lance, what is up, buddy?
Hey, Wayne, how's it going? Thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we are thrilled to have you on here. So, legend car racing, obviously Zach Murtis is somebody who you know very well, races in the summer shootout and all sorts of other stuff with the legend cars. He was the one that brought you into the fold here this week, and you were telling me a story about the summer shootout from last year that was, for lack of a better term, a quite scary event.
Yeah, that was my first summer shootout that I was involved in as a driver. I'd been going to the summer shootout for years as both a fan and a crew member on several organizations' teams. And I was getting pretty good at it. I felt like I was increasing my speed and my on-track awareness and everything that you want to learn in legend cars at the summer shootout. And I get to round 9, super excited, pumped up. I thought I had the most speed that I had had the entire season. I get into the B main where I normally was ending up at the time and was making a lot of moves, making some progress. And then I go into turn 1, and that's where my memory goes away.
Uh-oh.
I know what happened. I ended up getting hit in the wrong place at the wrong time and barrel rolled 3 times in turn 2.
Oof.
Landed on the roof. The whole body flew off the car. Ended up destroying the entire thing. But yeah, it was definitely a scary and disorienting event. I remember going into turn 1 and being 3 wide on the high side and knowing that I was going to stick it through the corner. And then next thing you know, I'm hanging upside down and there's a lot of light in the car and my wheel is still turned through the corner and there's no body left. And I'm just wondering what is happening.
Good
But thankfully
gracious.
it happened at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Those guys and gals over there on the safety team, they're great people. They were at the car within 2 to 3 seconds once I came to a stop and were able to make sure I was okay. I thankfully was okay. I think it was just kind of adrenaline and a lack of understanding as to what was going on. And that was definitely very disorienting for me. I didn't quite know what was happening at the time. All I can pretty much remember from that is getting turned back over onto my wheels and climbing out of the car. And from what the Flow Racing broadcast showed, unfortunately, they didn't show the footage from that accident. So I don't really quite know what happened. All that I know is I was continually staring at my race car, wondering what happened and why it happened. But U.S. Legend Cars makes a fantastic and safe product. I loved racing those cars. They are a ton of fun if you want to learn how to race. They're able to teach you car control on all different varieties of surfaces and tracks and all over the world.
Right.
So I was very lucky to walk away from that incident and still be standing today.
Oof. Well, that is definitely some good stuff. And again, folks, like we were talking about just a minute ago, too, is these cars look like the old school 1930s Ford Model T cars. So, I mean, they call them a legend car for a reason. And, of course, NASCAR chef over here knows exactly what I'm talking about. Right, John?
Right.
But in the same process here, Lance, you've also done some Allison Legacy Series stuff as well. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, that is not legend cars. That is late models, is it not?
It's more or less a 3/4 size late model.
Okay.
So they race. My first race was actually at Rockingham Speedway on the road course there. I was running in the top 5. I was going to have a great finish, and then my right front wheel ended up breaking off the hub coming to the checkered flag, and I slid through the dirt. I remember looking up and seeing my right front tire hit the turn 1 banking and thinking, oh, that's not good. But I was okay from that as well. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of different incidents throughout my career so far, most of them not at my own fault, but I've been lucky to be able to climb out of all these cars and walk away.
You, for lack of a better term, you just haven't had the luck that you need.
Pretty much, yeah. It's been pretty disappointing, honestly. I came into racing at a fairly older age than some of these kids. I just finished my 3rd season, so I started racing whenever I was 21.
Wow.
And I knew that going into big events like the summer shootout and national events and things like that, I knew I was going to be behind the 8 ball when it came to experience and just quality of car.
Right.
A lot of these teams make a very, very good race car, and I was doing the majority of the work myself. I was building the cars. I was setting them up. I was taking them to the racetrack. I remember, for example, after my round 9 flip, once they brought me back from the ambulance into the garage, I was the one that was putting the car up on jack stands and making runs to the parts trailer to get parts and pieces just to make the thing roll again.
Wow.
So it's been a great learning experience for me in many different facets. My mechanical knowledge has elevated to a level that I never thought it would be at. And I'm very proud to say that I can pretty much do anything with a car now.
Well,
Good for you.
And see that experience, though, that translates very, very well into future runs in motorsports. And, you know, somebody even like John can attest to it from being around the garage area for as many years as he's been around it in the world of NASCAR, is having that mechanical engineering knowledge, even without the college degrees, goes very far. I mean, look at guys like, you know, your Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch. Look at guys like Matt Kenseth. Look at guys like even Ross Chastain or any of those other guys that can sit there and literally tell you what the car is doing. And for most of those guys, they were able to do it literally the minute they got into motorsports, if not within about a year or so after. So having that experience benefits you more than it hurts you.
Right.
For sure. I definitely agree with that.
And but moving on over here to one last topic that we can touch on real quick before we get ready to wrap up with you for the week here, Lance, is that you are potentially, sadly, it's not going to be an Earnhardt Peñón Motorsports year this year at the ARCA Daytona Test. John, we were talking about that off the air a little bit here, but our good friend Lance here is most likely going to be going to the Daytona Test with, rumor has it, Rayum Brothers Racing, but you were telling me last night that it might be through a little bit different partnership.
Yeah, so I've been working as the social media coordinator and PR guy for Rayum Brothers Racing for the last 3 years. They're a great group of guys, and I enjoy going to the shop every day and hanging out with them. And a couple months ago, Josh brought me into his office and was like, hey, I've got an opportunity for you to hop in an ARCA car with Mike Harmon.
Wow.
And that kind of took me aback a little bit. I was pretty shocked by it. And of course I said, yes, I would love that opportunity. So yeah, this upcoming weekend, the 12th and the 13th, and maybe the 14th, weather depending, right, I'm going to be strapping myself into an ARCA car and turning some laps at Daytona.
Well, word on the street has it, it's supposed to be crystal clear and just very cold for January down there in Daytona, Florida. So you should be in good spirits getting ready to go down there and race this weekend, buddy.
Yeah, I'm so excited about it, and I can't thank Mike Harmon and Josh Rayum enough for the opportunity. I mean, this was something that I never thought would even be a possibility ever in my career. I don't come from people that write the $1 million checks and have the big businesses at home. It's just me and my mom and my grandma, and we just try to make life work the best that we can. And I remember being able to tell both of them that I was going to have this opportunity, and my mom almost started crying on the spot. Just because
I was going to say she was probably beyond words at that point.
Yeah, she both ecstatic and a little nerve-wracking for her. I don't think she's quite understood the speed that we're going to be hitting down at Daytona, but I'm going to try to keep that away from her as much as possible.
Yeah, I was going to say, because in the ARCA cars, you're hitting every bit of at least a $165 in those cars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm primarily going to be doing single car runs just to start off, since I don't really have a lot of big car laps. Right. I'm going to primarily just be doing single car runs. There's a possibility that I hop in the draft, but it's all up really in the air right now. Well,
and see, even at single car speed, you're still doing about a $155, $160 around Daytona, and then the draft adds that extra 5 to 10 miles per hour. So you're going to probably top out in the draft about 170, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right, John?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So absolutely.
So about 170 to 180 overall.
Wow, that's going to be crazy.
Right? But the best thing that anybody in motorsports can tell you about the draft, don't let somebody hit your rear too hard, because if you do, it's going to end up sending you around. So just be careful with that.
Especially in the turns.
Yeah, that is the last thing I want to do, is wreck that car. It's a great piece, and Josh gave me this opportunity through Mike to be able to go down there and turn some laps. And not only do I not want to let them down, I also want to bring the car back in one piece for them to race later on this year.
Exactly. Well, good stuff, buddy. Well, I'll tell you what. With that said, here we're going to get ready to wrap up with you for the week. Get ready to head over to our next Foreign Fuel here and say hi to all of our wonderful advertising partners. But before we do that, though, we have a tradition we're going to get you in on here. And every single driver, it doesn't matter if you're Zachary Murtis, it doesn't matter if you're John Force or Kyle Larson. Everybody has done this shout. Kenny Wallace actually started this for us back in 2008, grabbed the mic out of one of our hosts, Andy DeLay's hands, and literally said, "Your show's burning rubber, baby." And the cool part to that shout, then literally it's just those 3 words, burning rubber, baby. It gets you 2/10 on the racetrack, and with the test this weekend, I'm going to say it gives you a chance of getting your ARCA license.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
All right. Well, whenever you're ready, buddy, give us those 3 famous words.
Burning rubber, baby.
All right. I got a feeling we're going to see this man with an ARCA license, John. What do you think?
I'm looking forward to it. Good luck, Lance.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it so much for the opportunity to be on the show.
Definitely, buddy. Great stuff. Well, with that said here, folks, we're going to step aside. We're going to take our next Foreign Fuel, and when we come back, speaking of the guy to my right over here, it's going to be time to jump in the kitchen with the NASCAR chef, John Dix, when we come back.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
We all make choices. When it comes to alcohol, kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Have fun. Hey, have a seat for a second. Remind me about that party again?
Alex is just...
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. They want guidance and honest answers to their questions. And it makes a difference when the message is consistent and part of everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
We scored? Yeah, we scored. We're going to the playoffs. I can't believe I missed that. Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone. What? I should take your phone away. No. I'll call for a ride. Hey, why does my face look like that?
I'm playing with these new face filters.
Okay, you know what?
Yep, that's mine.
I'm gonna need that back.
No.
Kevin!
This is Burning Rubber Radio. Now let's get cooking in the kitchen with the NASCAR chef, John Dix.
And we are back on Burning Rubber Radio. It's producer Wayne along with the NASCAR chef, John Dix, this week here on the show. And man, folks, tell you what, by the way, if you want to give us a follow on social media, definitely do recommend doing that here. It's facebook.com/Burning Rubber Radio. Twitter.com/BRR_radio, or on Instagram at Instagram.com/Burning Rubber Radio. And make sure you go follow all the platforms. Also, make sure to go follow our brand new Rumble channel at rumble.com/Burning Rubber Radio, youtube.com/Burning Rubber Radio, wingding.tv. You can find us all on there. John, Rumble and YouTube, that's going to be the big focus for 2024 for us as far as our streaming distribution is concerned here, folks. We are in the process of making some very much needed changes to the show here, because granted, don't get me wrong, all of these graphics that you're seeing on the TV right now, these were hand done by yours truly. And now, granted, I don't consider myself a graphic artist by any stretch of the imagination. I just do what needs to be done to, make things happen, make things animate, make things look pretty, shall we say.
Well, Wayne makes us all look pretty, and boy, that's a job in itself.
Yeah, that is definitely a job in itself. I'm surprised I'm not making an extra $40,000 a year doing something like that, but we won't get into that one. But with that said, though, we have got to get over to the NASCAR chef, John Dixon. His recipe for the week here. John, what is good cooking this week, sir?
Well, I tell you, Wayne, this week we're going to do some comfort food. We're going to do a cheeseburger pie. Ooh. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. This is really good, and it's very simple. Really is simple. We're going to start with a pound of ground beef. Now, I use the ground chuck. It's a little leaner. Mm-hmm. 1 small onion. A lot of people like the yellow onion. I like the white onion. You want to chop it up real good. A cup of shredded cheddar cheese. 1 cup of milk. 1 pack of onion soup mix, which is about 2 tablespoons. A lot of people buy the onion soup mix in a little box, and it's got the little sleeves. Just use one of those. A little more, a little less from 2 tablespoons is not going to hurt it. Mm-hmm. A half a cup of Bisquick and 2 eggs. And guys, what you're going to do is you're going to preheat your oven to about 400 degrees. You want to cook the beef and the onion in a skillet. Drain off the excess fat. Mm-hmm. Then you want to spread the mixture in a 9-inch greased pie pan. What you're going to do after that, you're going to sprinkle about half of the cheese on top of the meat, and in a bowl, you want to add the milk, the onion soup mix, the Bisquick, and the eggs. Mix it all together real good, and then pour it over your meat mixture. Ooh. Then the other half of the cheese, you're going to put it on top. Bake it in your oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. Let it cool for a couple minutes before you serve it. And I'm going to tell you something, gang. It is a fan favorite, and it is a good comfort food.
You know what, John? Cheeseburger pie is something I have not had in a long time. That was a staple growing up as a kid, was cheeseburger pie. And right. You know what? I tell you what, folks, if you've ever seen OnlyPans on Facebook, and you guys will know who I'm talking about if you've heard the name OnlyPans, it's there's a thing on that one, John. I'll tell you about that one later in case you're not familiar. I'm not. But I think we're going to try and get John set up to where it's like OnlyPans, where we're going to get you some reels on Facebook showing you prepping these recipes. And then, folks, we're also going to be working on getting the video of these recipes being prepared in the kitchen on the show here, too. That is something we are working on for 2024. Is having John in the physical kitchen cooking these recipes so that you guys can see how well they turn out. But real quickly here, we're going to go over and just take one last look at the recipe for the week, and cheeseburger pie. And that picture just looks scrumptious.
Yeah, some good old comfort food, Wayne.
Yeah, buddy. And you know what? Considering I got back on my diet when I had the flu here, and sadly I was kind of forced to get back on the diet here, folks. And you've probably been looking at your screen too every once in a while. You're like, wait a minute, what's he drinking? And you would be correct. I'm actually drinking a bottle of water right now. I've been back on water now for about a month.
Yeah, I drink a lot of water during the day.
And
It doesn't show though, Wayne, but I do drink a lot of water.
You still got your girlish figure, John. Who we kidding?
You don't tell anybody.
Hey, Robin knows, and that's all that matters, right?
That's true. That's true. Got me out of trouble, Wayne. Thank you.
But that, and there's actually something else. Being an Uber driver, one of the many fun things. Speaking of nutritionals, that I had a chance to. I actually had a chance to meet somebody who is part of the Crush It Coliseum. Their corporate office is actually based here out of Statesville, John, and they got me hooked up with a protein supplement demo, like a little test bag. So we're gonna try that out here after the show goes off the air today. It's a vanilla pound cake flavor milk protein shake. So we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out just how good this is gonna taste. So
that sounds like fun, Wayne.
Yeah, it does. It's gonna be an interesting time in a couple hours. I'll let everybody know if I'm still alive at the end of the day.
I'll check on you later, brother.
But one other thing too, and I was mentioning this to you off the air here earlier, John, is that something that I got a hold of in the kitchen here this past weekend. Actually tried to make tacos for the first time in a long time, and did a sausage taco because I had some, I still had a leftover pound of Jimmy Dean sausage from back around Christmas time when I usually like to make sausage balls, and
hope they're not donkey balls.
No, they're definitely not donkey balls. Definitely not the donkey balls. They're not the huevos. They're not that big. But either which way, no, I made some sausage tacos and actually some sausage nachos for my roommate this past weekend too. So that was actually kind of cool.
Yeah, we do a lot of nachos around here during football season.
Oh, yeah.
On Saturday afternoon, watching some college football.
Oh yeah, get you some sausage, some hamburger. Heck, mix the two of them together, and then make sure, folks, if you're gonna do nachos. If you're doing shredded cheese, now John can obviously tell you better than I can. If you're doing shredded cheese, make sure you throw it in the oven so that it actually bakes onto the chip, and you get that ooey gooey sensation.
Yeah, absolutely, Wayne. Just heat it up. Don't need to heat it long, but just get it good and melted. You're right. That makes the nachos good, brother.
Oh yeah, buddy. Oh yeah, man. Now I'm getting hungry. Now I'm gonna definitely need that meal replacement so that I'm not hungry the rest of the day. But with that said here, folks, again, if you ever want to reach out to the NASCAR chef, John Dix over here, all you got to do is send him an email at racingtothegrill. That's RACING, the number 2, thegrill@gmail.com. And again, folks, we'll take one last quick look over here at this week's recipe here. Cheeseburger pie from the NASCAR chef, John Dix. And with that said here, folks, we're going to step aside. We're going to take our final foreign fuel of the show here this week. But when we come back, John, we've got some final news of the week coming up for everybody here. And rumor has it there's a new, not so new change with Mercedes coming through F1. And I think Erica Enders is also in the news again this week. You ready for that one?
We're ready, brother.
All right. We'll be back right after this.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. And in our family, we're used to getting involved, and I encourage you to do the same, especially when it comes to caring for your loved ones. When I think about Alzheimer's and the impact it had on my family, I recognize that losing a race isn't such a bad day after all. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
What can we learn from a child?
That spreading joy is more important than a trophy.
That when we help others, we heal ourselves.
That with a little love,
We can make the biggest impact.
At Speedway Children's Charities,
Our mission
Is simple.
help every child we can.
because all children deserve joy.
And hope. And love.
And if one child is still in need,
Then there's still work to do.
Because their future is our future.
and there's still so much they can teach us.
Visit our website at burningrubberradio.com for recipes from the NASCAR chef, John Dix, and more great content. Now back to more Burning Rubber Radio.
And we are back on Burning Rubber Radio. It is producer Wayne along with the NASCAR chef himself, John Dix, on video for the first time ever in a long time.
In a long time.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been at least a year. So
Been about a year, Wayne. Yeah. Y'all have me hiding here in South Alabama, back in the woods,
hiding on the
using-
cannon string.
Yeah, using a cannon string to call in, but we finally found some daylight out here, and so we got a little bit of internet and got me on my old ugly mug back on TV. So we're here.
Yep. So some good stuff to have you back on the TV side of things, as well as always on the radio side. But now you're not limited to just the one segment anymore. You can be with us the entirety of the broadcast, which is really, really nice to have you around, John.
I'm excited. Thank you, Wayne, and glad to be back. And we love our listeners out there, and we just love yelling "Burning Rubber, baby!"
Burning Rubber, baby! And but back to some final news of the week here before we get ready to wrap up for the first show back in 2024. And oh my God, it's hard to believe that time has already come. But with that said, here. Folks, I can't sing. My girlfriend thinks I can sing, but I can't carry a tune in a bucket. So trust me, I already know. But moving into the world of Formula One here now, and some news that just broke here within the last couple of days is that Williams F1 is going to be hanging on to Mercedes as their manufacturer of choice through 2030. So Mercedes-Benz will continue to power Williams Racing and Williams Motorsport through 2030, and the news was confirmed on Monday morning as Williams becomes the brand's second customer team, confirmed for the next generation of power unit regulations that will be introduced in 2026.
That's good. That's good, Wayne. I'm looking forward to F1. I actually went to an F1 race years ago in Silverstone, England.
What was that, 1942?
43. Smarty pants.
Make you feel older than you are. I love it.
Yep.
No,
Pedro Rodriguez won the race. Tell you how long ago it was,
folks. That was in the 1970s. So don't grab the pitchforks and the torches yet. We rip on John because he is the senior member of Burning Rubber Radio.
Yeah, and I actually met Jackie Stewart at that race.
Oh wow!
One of my heroes. Yeah, that was a long time ago. That was in actually it was in 78 or 79, I believe it was.
Wow, there you go.
Yep.
Super cool stuff. Well, with that said here, moving on over now to the world of NHRA here real fast. And Erica Enders and Angelle Sampey officially have been marked as the winningest women in motorsports, John.
Cool. Congratulations to them. Yeah, that's great.
But now, again, I'm going to get back on the soapbox for a minute because, again, it doesn't matter if you're a man, woman, black, blue, brown, zebra striped. I don't give a flying cahoot. If you are a racer, you are a racer. I could give I could give a flying cahoot less if you're a man or a woman, or zhi zhu zha zhe boo 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 hoo hoo.
Yep, that's what our society's got to get back to, Wayne. You were correct.
Yep, exactly. Drop the labels and just have fun with what you're doing. So Erica Enders, Angelle Sampey, congratulations on being the winningest female competitors in motorsport.
Right.
And so that is the nice way of putting it without sounding too harsh. And but one last bit of news that we're going to touch on here real quick before we get out of here for the week. and that being one Wyatt Miller, a.k.a. The Thriller from North Carolina. And if you're wondering where that name sounds familiar, that is Carson Elledge's brother, a.k.a. Kelly Earnhardt's son. Got himself a win a couple of weeks ago here back on New Year's Day in the Tulsa Shootout and got himself a golden driller.
Yeah, that's cool, Wayne. I forget his age, but he is not very old, and he just getting started.
Old. 8 years old.
Yeah, I knew he was just a little guy.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So congratulations to the Thriller, Wyatt Miller. Boy, that just rings off like a true announcer, doesn't it?
Yeah. Bless his heart, he's already got a nickname. Good for him, though. Congratulations, Wyatt.
Yeah, congratulations goes out to Wyatt Miller. In fact, actually, it's kind of cool because Carson was talking about this on her Twitter page, where they have officially created new shirts for Wyatt, and I'm trying to find the name of them here. Oh yeah, it's the Maybe I Will, Maybe I Won't shirts.
Okay.
I don't know where the name came from. I just know that was the theme that literally came up when Carson was working on doing the PR stuff for Wyatt this past couple of weeks ago over at the Tulsa Shootout, which, by the way, folks, the Chili Bowl is also coming up here in just a couple of weeks as well. And then, of course, the official kickoff to racing begins at the end of January and the Rolex 24. So do be ready for that.
Yeah, guys, I've been to that race a lot, and that needs to be on your bucket list. That 24-hour race is a lot of fun. It's really cool.
Oh, yeah, it's good stuff all the way around the board here. But with that said here, John, can you believe we're already at the end of another show already?
Fastest hour in motorsports, Wayne.
Yes,
Here we
sir.
are.
The fastest 60 minutes in motorsports. And with that said here, folks, we have got to get out of here for another week of Burning Rubber Radio. And for everybody involved in the show, Andy DeLay, John Dix, Zachary Murtis, Taylor Burris, Jeremy Taylor, Bobby Dale Earnhardt. And for our guest this week, Lance Griffith, I am producer Wayne. We love you guys. And until next week, when we come back for another round of TV, radio, and all sorts of fun, Burning Rubber, baby!
Burning Rubber, baby.
Burning Rubber Radio is a production of the Performance Motorsports Network in association with the White Lightning TV studios in Statesville, North Carolina. This week's episode was produced by Wayne Owens. Remember to visit burningrubberradio.com for news, recipes, and more great content. Burning Rubber Radio may also be downloaded from our podcast site, pmn2.com, or from Spotify, iTunes, or Google Podcasts. The opinions expressed on this show are those of the hosts and guests and do not reflect those of the Performance Motorsports Network or the Scorpion Radio Group. Any use of the accounts or descriptions contained in this broadcast must be with the express written permission of the Performance Motorsports Network or the Scorpion Radio Group.